and we'll hopefully get through all of them. So let's start off with Trip. Just tell us about prizes and season one.
Prizes and season one. Well, we have a massive, shall I say massive, I guess, prize pool. We have $7,000 worth of prizes coming up, including 6,000 in cash, a couple of stocks, and a few other prizes that we've been talking about, as well as things we've been coming up with. We've got the, what did we call it? The swag bag that we just announced.
That's correct.
So a couple of other options other than just winning outright. We're also doing some giveaways throughout the season, potentially for a clip of the week and things like that, or like most voted things. Those will be announced as they come up, and we will be hopefully trying to keep the community engagement through all of those as we can.
Yeah,
I
if
think
you
that
hop
covered.
onto slide 3, there is a sweepstake. So this is for season 1, so you have to sign up by Monday. You've got to be registered for week 1, and you've got to play through the set 1. We'll talk about the sets in a second. Um, but basically, if you sign up and you play through week 1 in the first third of the season, you are eligible to win a personalized IVRL swag box. It's worth about 250 bucks, but it's basically a bunch of merch and snacks and swag, which is going to be custom made with your logo as well as IVRL branding. So it's a pretty cool, unique little gift that we'll be getting out to not just to every member of one winning team. So get registered, spread the word, and one lucky team is going to win some fun stuff. All right. Slide 4, if you move on, we're looking at our team. So I want to introduce everybody here. I'm going to go ahead and run through our names. Basically, we've built. If you guys check out the league structure channel, you can see details about what the actual league structure is. We talked a bit about it last time. But basically, we're split into a few categories. Number one is the board of IVRL, which is um, the board of IVRL is gonna manage not just IVRL onward, but any other leagues that come up later down the line. It's going to be basically hands off of day to day league involvement, focused on growth, focused on sponsors, etc., and building new initiatives. Um, so that's the board, and you see our kind of icons there. You can find our player logos there. So we've got Mama, we've got Theta, we've got Thunder Pilot, Sickness, Viper, Mister Trip, Etch, and Maximum on there. Then we've got our actual moderation team for the league itself. So that starts with the commissioner, which is Mama. Then it goes by the strategic directors. That's going to be Marksman, Radar, High Voltage, Ricky, James Boak, and Sheik and Geek. And we've got our refs who manage tickets and any game related issues. The SDs manage more forward looking things, rules, and so forth. Of the refs, we've got Jazzy, Nev, and we've got Dub Champ.
Dub.
Brain fart. And then we've got our community managers who manage our Discord. So that's going to be Murphy, Will Sell My P, and GT for you to view. And we got our lovely bots who help us out when we're not around and when we're around. That's our whole team. Not everyone's here right now, but that's our team. Wanted to just give a shout out to everyone. Everyone's been working really hard since the start of Summer Showdown to put together season one. And there are, later down the line, some of these positions will be replaced. There's going to be voting and so forth. You can see the details in league structure, but we'll announce when that happens. If there's interest in joining positions, do reach out to Mama or make a ticket, and we can talk more about that. But this is the team that we're fielding for now. So next up, let's talk about Summer Showdown results. James, you want to talk about this? You are muted. If not, I'll take it.
I am indeed muted,
There you
and
go.
I would just talked about it perfectly for so long. So in terms of the pure results, I believe it was beginners who won EU and Raptors who won NA. Um, pretty typical results right there. Um, I think the biggest result from it was how the testing of the two map format, um, and that then resulted in it being voted in as the preferred format for IVRL. So we will be proceeding with the two map format. A little bit more on that, I think, later on in this town hall. We tried out some new maps. Again, some of those maps made it in. I believe Arctic's now in the pool. Got to try the new sand out. And I've gone blank on what the other customs are. I know USS Quest is in there, but we didn't test it during the thing. And then um, one other one, which I've gone completely blank on. Um, I'm sure someone will put it in the chat. Uh, and then yeah, new rules. So like things like freeing up some of the equipment, M203 usage, not having specific internal timers we have to rely on, just using the in-game timers for things like flash and frags, trying all that out, and overall there was positive feedback on that, and those are things we'll be continuing with through into season one. Um, yeah, overall I thought it went really well. If anyone has any feedback they want to give on that, I'm always open to either DM or wherever you want to put it. Yeah.
Cool. Let's jump to the state of IVRL since our last town hall. Mama, I'll let you take this one.
So currently, we've had some questions about people wanting to mod. We're currently at our full capacity for moderation for our moderation team for season one, just starting out. We do currently have a production team that is built as well. Player advisory committee is operational and advising. Imagine that. 260 tickets have been created and resolved since we started the ticket bot. That has been a fun one, let me tell you. What I want to mention too, though, is make sure that you remember tickets are not just for, everything and anything, complaints, stuff like that. They're also for suggestions. So if you guys have suggestions, please feel free to create a ticket to make a suggestion because we're always open for those as well. We've had 168 matches in our summer showdown, 528 players, 72 teams registered. Currently, for season one, we have 34 active teams. That's pretty impressive. So, thank you guys. We're super, super excited for that. As far as the rules go, VAC bans are still um, in penalty point system and competitively strong rule set, the league recon and IVRL bot. So I don't know what you wanted touched on those etch, but you probably want to break those out if you want to go a little bit further in those. Um,
Nothing specific. Just wanted to kind
okay,
of mention
make
some of the
mention. Yep, yep.
things that we've been working on. The VAC bans was a big one that a lot of
Oh
time was
yeah.
spent with the pack, with all different levels of mods. Penalty point system, has been kind of being tested. We
Hmm.
issued our first penalty points, and then the rule set, obviously, testing it, but
Yeah.
also editing it, tweaking it, finding problems and holes in it, and making it better.
So that's it for me right now.
Um, okay, so let's jump to things we are cooking up. And for this, I'm going to turn it over to Sickness and also bring in Teskey, who's going to talk a little bit as well. Sickness, why don't you kick it off? You are muted, by the way.
Appreciate that, Itch, because I was talking.
Good.
So things were cooking up. I'm not going to touch a whole lot on the web features, as it's not my forte. I'll let one of you guys expand on that. But bringing in sponsors and prizes, we did come up with a sponsorship with Playmakers Wanted for a jersey partnership, and Teskey is the owner of that company, and he's going to pop in and kind of discuss what that entails, how you can get involved, how you can get your team outfitted in some really snappy custom made jerseys, and just kind of talk about that a little bit with you guys. There are some other sponsorships that we are looking at acquiring, but those are just they're still in the discussion phase, the back and forth with the companies and so on, and we've got a rather large list of VR players that we're trying to work our way through to making contact. and just kind of figure out how we can get these guys involved in our league. So there is a lot of that going in on the back end, but and we've also just obviously brought in Theta, and Theta is going to be helping us out with that a lot as well. So if we could get Teskey, I know he's listening. I think you'll have to invite him to speak.
Yeah, Tesky, do you see
Uh,
a join as speaker button? Should have one.
I don't believe he said he does not have the ability to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there he
Yeah.
oh,
is.
there we
Oh,
go.
there. Sweet.
There I am.
Awesome.
Welcome,
All right.
sir.
Well, I'm Teskey, as you said. I'm the owner of. We are what we like to call ourselves as an esports outfitter. What sets us apart as a jersey and apparel supplier is our technology. If you want to take a look at the website, it's best on PC as we give quite a bit of freedom for you to design your own custom look using our online templates. It's the permutations that you can create are like virtually infinite. So play around with it. Recommend using it on a PC. If you have any questions, I'll probably post my Discord invite link. But you can design your own using the templates. If there's not something there that you like, you can purchase a custom design. We have, I think, something like 60 products at this point. You can open team stores and sell stuff. It is intended to be a flexible and all encompassing esports outfitting platform.
Awesome. Thank you, Tusky. So you will get more info from Playmakers Wanted soon. I believe there's going to be a Capco post to all the captains in the coming days. So you will be able to buy merch and all of that. The IVRL store is also in progress. You'll be able to buy IVRL merch soon as well. Anything else you wanna say, Tusky?
Not really. It'll require a bit of exploration from the team captains or whoever's in charge of jerseys and merch for each individual team. I'm available. I'll post my Discord link if you guys don't mind, but we could also create a private room on your server. Uh, whichever's best for you guys. It doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah, I think we had discussed allowing you access to the captain's chat.
Already
Just that
there.
way,
Yep.
that way you can access all the team captains on the right hand list real quick and easy.
Okay.
Let them know what you can do for them.
Yeah, you can talk to me if you don't see that, Teskey. I'll go ahead and walk you through it.
Okay.
Are you going to hang around for a little bit, or are you going to take off? I was just wondering because we can field questions for you in town hall discuss if anybody does have any questions regarding your website or anything like that.
I will probably jump off voice. I was actually in the middle of cleaning my house when you guys invited me in, but I can pay attention to uh, the voice chat and answer questions.
Sure. Okay, guys, you heard him. Town hall discuss. If you have any questions about personalized team jerseys, anything like that, also know that purchasing through our affiliate link helps support us as a league, which is a big deal for us. You get a fantastic product, and we get a little bit of support from the community, so it's a win-win.
Yeah. So thanks for having me, guys. Like I said,
Thanks for coming.
I'll pay attention to that chat and answer any questions I see.
Alrighty, thank you, Tusky. Um, okay, let's talk about a couple of things that are cooking. So we've got the web upgrades in progress. The web team, Mr. Tripp, and others are hard at work on getting the matches, scores, ranking, team pages, etc., up and running. And a big emphasis has been the ability to do a lot of stuff through the bots. You've already seen some of that, joining teams, making your team active, etc. But the goal is to be able to do stuff on the website and on the bot, so you don't even have to leave Discord to get a lot of the stuff done. Um, and then we're bringing in other sponsors and prizes along the way. Playmakers Wanted is the first one, but there's other discussions ongoing for growing the league and for growing the season one prize pool. Um, and then lastly, we have updates and upgrades coming to everything from casting to rule changes and really every part of the league. We're upgrading from the summer showdown setup to season one and gonna look at continually improving. So if you have thoughts or feedback, do let us know. All right, let's jump into season one details. Ricky, do you want to take us through season one info? Don't forget to unmute.
Yeah, I guess I can do that.
You guys got to
Sorry.
act like you've done this before. That's like the fifth person that has tried to talk on mute.
Okay,
You guys can
but I
play
also want to
VR, but you can't unmute yourselves in Discord. Come on.
I also want to point out that I didn't have an issue with it, and the rest of y'all did. Haha.
There's a
I'm
first time for everything.
yeah. Okay, so I'll take us through season 1 here. So, going to be really exciting. We've of course been testing out our rule set. I think the rule set's kind of my baby now, so I'm super pleased with what we've come up with. I think it's going to really set us apart from some of the other leagues because it's pretty unique, but I think allows for the best competitive landscape for our matches. So we've got, as the other guys have said, we've got $7,000 worth of prizes, $6,000 which is in cash. One thing they didn't mention, which I actually think is pretty important for you all to know, is that a lot of that is funded by the members of this community. So while we are in discussions with sponsors to get them to support our league, this league is not only supported but funded by members of the community. So when we say this is a league for gamers by gamers, we're really putting our money where our mouth is in that respect. And we're doing this unique format, which you've already tested out in the Summer Showdown. The 2 maps, I think, is really great. It neutralizes the home team advantage we've seen. It's going to be 21 weeks, and we're going to do it in 3 sets. And as you've already seen, we're going to be bringing in some of these custom maps that we've been testing out with rotating custom maps. And let's see. I actually don't know how the playoffs will be run because I was not prepared to do this slide. But I'm gonna pass it off to someone else who knows more about the playoffs to handle that question or to handle that part of this slide. Who wants to take it?
I'll jump in there. Is
Yeah,
Marksman
thanks.
here? Marksman's
Thanks.
not here. Yeah, I'll jump in. We got told what slides we're going to be dealing with about 5 minutes before this meeting, so we have been scrambling a little bit on that aspect. In terms of the playoffs, we've talked through a preliminary structure. You can see that in the announcement which VR Marksman gave. We will have a wildcard type tournament to decide the 8th spot in each region. Um, However, that wildcard will not be completely open. We want to ensure that it's within teams which are, so you don't get those sort of matchups, which those like matchups where you're playing against a team which maybe shouldn't be in there, and you get lucky with your matchups and therefore come out on top. Um, so it'll be teams 8 to 15 will be playing off for that 8th slot, and then you'll go into quarterfinals. Very similar to formats you may know already, where you play a round robin against within groups of 4, and then those winners from the quarterfinal groups uh, come through to semis and finals. Probably missing some detail in here. Go and check out an announcement. In announcements, it's explained better in there. The main things are on the playoffs is there will be regional playoffs and regional winners, and then the top 2 from each of those will come together to decide a world winner. Um, that's the main thing to take. Uh, any other points which we're wanting to bring up from this slide, um, in terms of structure?
Did you mention the break already? Did someone do
The
that?
break. Okay, yes. So we've the season overall is a long one. It's long for the main reason it's long is because we're wanting to give good guidance on how seasons in general will work going forward. In that we want to have 2 seasons per year, one running roughly from January through to April, May sort of amount, and then the other for the second half of the year. For this season, obviously we're not starting in January, so we're going to have a 7 week period going up to Christmas, and then we're going to have a break over Christmas, and then run 2 further 7 week periods or sets, we're calling them, and then go into the final structure. The normal structure will be 3 5-week periods. Within those sets, it allows us to have some map variation. We don't want major map variation. Um, However, allowing the ability to switch in a couple of maps for this season, we're looking at switching in two different customs in each of those sets, and also maybe for set three, allowing turbine, depending on how that development goes. It's open there as an option. Yeah, so that's there'll be a break over Christmas, basically. Um, yeah, that's the season overview time wise and how it will work structure wise.
Thanks, James. And sorry about that. That's totally on me. I just missed that I was supposed to be doing that slide, but thank you for covering for me, James.
I'm just going to put it out there now. Ugly Christmas sweater contest during that 3-week break. Now Etch has to make graphics for it.
You mean me?
All right, let's jump to slide 11, which is MMR. So there's not much in text here, but Trip, James, one of you guys want to kind of start it off? We'll keep it fluid. I'm sure we're gonna get a lot of questions about it, but maybe we can just give a general overview on what
Yeah.
our version of MMR is gonna be.
So our version of MMR is basically it's a variation of an ELO type system. We're calling it SRS. You will have known it as MMR from VRML, and potentially from other leagues. I think they use similar type naming. Um, it We want to give as much detail as we can on that. We are finalizing the exact formula and running simulations on it. We need it to be well simulated by the end of next week because that's obviously um, the point at which results will start to come into it. But basically, as an overview, what it will do is it'll take into account your current ranking, um, and then the ranking of the team you're playing against. It will then, based upon those rankings, will and the score line, and that score line includes both your points and also map wins. So it's good to win maps, not just points. It'll take those into account, and with all of those bits of information with a scaling factor, basically it will give you MMR gain or MMR loss, and that will be your new MMR, or SRS. I should be referring to it as SRS constantly now. Um, Nothing too new there. The one thing we want to give is more detail than you may have gotten in the past on exactly how it is calculated, and we'll be putting together a bit of like a blog posty type thing on that. Is that enough? That's pretty much what I've got on SRS. Uh, we'll try Geek's been the one headlining that, so he'll be able to give more detail in future days.
Yeah, basically it
Anything
boils down
that-
to points go in, points come out, and you move up and down based on your win. And it's called SRS. I'm going to start charging people by the incorrect statement every time. It's $1 in the jar, James, every time.
I'm fucked.
All right. Let's jump to our last topic before we open up to questions. Rules changes that are upcoming. I'm gonna throw this one to you as well, James.
Rules changes that are upcoming. Okay, so I got a bit of a summary to help me out on this one. So network connectivity. So that's one thing which we've. So if we're on rule or slide 12. So network connectivity is something we've had a lot of feedback on and has been a contentious issue over the last year, especially with the introduction of more Wi-Fi type play, um, particularly packet loss, and how it impacts gameplay. Now, the ultimate fix of that is going to be on the developer side, and hopefully it's something which occurs. We do not have any indication from them on a timeline on that or anything like that. They are aware of the problems, but we don't have any further information on that, unfortunately. Um, Ultimately, if there was some form of packet loss control specifically at their end for um, lobbies, that would be the best. What we can do from our end is to try and um, help with that. And what we're wanting to do, and a rule which we're putting together, which will be put up on the website at some point. I know Ricky will be doing the final wording of it and getting it up there. It's basically that um, if there if there are specific players who have consistent problems with packet loss, there will be an ability to report that with evidence, and then based upon that evidence, there'll be actions we can take to either improve that player's connection, or put restrictions on their play. Some things we have done to try and improve that as a whole are having it that you host your own map, so that the host influence is reduced. Or shared, and then yeah, hopefully with the recording side of things and with the ability to report and get action taken, we can, you know, come to a slightly better place in terms of connections and packet
Yeah.
loss.
I'll
Yep.
just jump in there for a second. So, I mean, what we're really concerned about here, and I think what a lot of people have opened tickets with this concern, is some players who may be finding ways to intentionally manipulate their Wi-Fi connections so that they can benefit from poor network conditions or from the net code and the way it works. So, you know what? We had to come up with some kind of creative ways to enforce that, because we can't be with players in their rooms when they're logging onto the internet. So one thing we're considering is just collecting data. Just anytime a player suspects that some other player is deliberately taking advantage of poor network conditions to gain a competitive advantage, then we would collect that information and not necessarily do anything with it. But if over time we start to see that the same players keep showing up in our Excel spreadsheet or whatever form we're documenting this, then we might start to do more of an investigation. And we've toyed around with a number of ideas, but one idea is that we might do what I like to call like a network weigh-in. So, like, before a wrestling match, wrestlers weigh in so that they know what weight class they're going to be in, and so that they know that they can compete. And in the same way, we could have people maybe do something along the lines of a speed test, so that we can test people's network conditions before they play and make sure that they're playing with the same kinds of network conditions that they usually would. I think it's going to require a little bit of finesse to figure out exactly how much burden we want to put on players to try and police this. But that's why, as an initial effort, what we're trying to do is just sort of collect data to figure out how widespread this problem is. If there are certain players who seem to be consistently having these problems and maybe not having these problems when they're just playing in comp lobbies. So it's a very tricky issue, but we're coming up with some sort of creative ways to deal with it. And the rule set that we're going to start the season with is going to be our kind of first attempt with it. But we're always open to finding new ways to adapt that rule set to figure out this tricky issue.
Awesome. So the other couple rules things, James, do you want to wrap that up with the other changes that are coming, shield poll, etc.?
Shield poll at the moment, as in I took a little snapshot just before this meeting. We've got heavily in favor of the shield remaining banned. We have 24 votes for banned and a combined 15 votes for the two unbanning options. I think that poll is closed, or if not is closed, is going to close very shortly. If your team has not voted yet, get your team vote in there. At the moment, it looks like the shield is going to remain banned. So that's the shield poll summary, basically. We did try and give some options for allowing it to be unbanned, i- based around the fact that people are recording, and the exploitation of the shield would be visible. However, we also want to do what the teams as a whole want, and it's strongly in favor at the moment of it being banned going forward. Um, the other things on that slide talked about some of Showdown rules changes, reviewing them. Again, if there's any further feedback on things specifically like M203 usage and uh, the early frags and flashes, or earlier than what you may have played in league type settings before, please give that feedback either through the form, which was put in announcements a while ago, or create a ticket, or even DM. Just get that feedback, and we'll take it into account. We want that discussion to occur now rather than have people, it becoming a thing later in the season. Two map format, already talked about that a bit. The main things to add on that, there's some more information which has been given out about exactly what that format will look like in terms of the map pool, how it plays into that. So you've got a map pool of 10 total, 2 customs. You'll get 2 bans each. Each team will get 2 bans. We're trying to come up with a system to make it so those bans are actually. I'll give the detail. We haven't given detail on it, but I'll see what we're working towards. We want to work towards that the bans are just given in independent to the website, and then they become known to both teams like 30 minutes before the game. We think that would be a good way of doing the bans. So there's again just reducing that home away advantage. However, that's not in place yet. And if it's not in place, we'll probably just go with a home away home type ban for those 2 bans. And then home picks map 1 and host map 1. Away gets to choose the side for map 1, and then away picks map 2 and host map 2. Away gets to choose the side. Home gets to choose the side for map 2. That's basically the format. First to 9 on each map. Sorry, first to 5, best of 9 on each map. Restrictions on matches in terms of postponements and roster lock and inactivity, things like that. Something we are working on to give final details, but some initial thoughts will be things you're pretty familiar with, like postponements allowing teams to postpone once per season with no penalty. Having some form of roster lock at the end of the season or near the end of the season, in which you know you 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 basically you cannot switch teams near the end of the season, to stop people abandoning teams for other teams. And then inactivity wise, so if you become inactive or are inactive during the season, there'll be something which you can be inactive for a week, but then after that point there will be penalties associated with it. And we want to make it something we want to try there, or we've been talking about there, is making it so that you can't become inactive right at the end of the season. So, for example, in the last 2 weeks, so you can't just lock your position in if you're in the top. You do have to play out the season to ensure that the tail end of the season, you don't end up with 10 teams inactive for the last week, as has happened before in other leagues. I think that's all of the sort of things I needed to give. Recording mandate. So recording mandate does come into force for the season. Obviously, if there are reasons you cannot record, please create a ticket. Give those reasons. We will be expecting that everyone is recording. That gives us the ability to, resolve issues if they do come up, and it gives more competitive integrity to the league as a whole. If you want more details on what that mandate is, it's on the rules website. I think there's an extra link to go through to. I think that's that slide covered. Etch. Anything else you wanted me to go over?
I think that's good. I think we're good to just open up to questions now.
Well, I want to follow up. We saw a question come up about the connectivity issues, and since we're just on that slide now, T was asking if you normally have stable internet and you have packet loss in a game, someone reports you. It's like Ricky said, it's not a singular instance that we're really going to be taking a look at. It's whether you have repeated network connectivity issues during matches and, like you said, generally have stable internet. That would be something that would show up on our list. If you have a bunch of teams that have complained against you, you're more likely to get some sort of investigation, interview, whatever it is that we deem.
I think we lost him.
Oh,
But is he still there?
yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, so yeah, just to add on to that, I think the point is we don't really know, what the threshold is going to be if it's like 3 reports or 5 reports. But the point is, if you are a network abuser out there, just know you're being watched. People are all recording their POVs. So if we see you rubber banding around the screen, that's going to go into our little log, and you may not hear from us on that instance, but a few more, and you probably will. And what we decide to do after that may not be disciplinary action, but it probably will be some kind of monitoring in the same way that we have for people who have relatively recent VAC bans, how they're required to submit their POVs. We may impose some sort of network monitoring um, on people who have those sorts of chronic issues. Right now we're primarily concerned about people who are doing this intentionally. I think there's another discussion to be had about people who just for one reason or another, just have bad internet and they're not doing it on purpose. We'll have to kind of think about that. But right now, the focus of our rulemaking is on people who are doing this intentionally. And so, if you're one of those people, just know that we are keeping track.
Yeah, the
It's a
second
small
part of that
community, word
rule
gets around.
the second part of that rule as well is that a lot of times these issues can't be handled in match. Like these are all post match issues. Um, the in match sort of direct outcome is that when individuals have over a certain number of drops, they will have to be subbed out, and these drops will be from the game kicking them out for network issues. Um, and after you've had a certain amount in a match, it's clearly an indicator that your internet's not up to par. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just that day. Maybe it's just that instance. Whatever it is, but rosters, have 8 people, and reservists are available. So um, not only just for the fact that your internet's probably having issues, but also for disruption of the match. After a certain number of drops, this rule will say that you'll have to swap out that player to someone else, whether a reservist or someone else on your roster.
The same applies for crashes. If you're crashing multiple times a match, you're still disrupting the flow of the match, regardless of whether it's network induced or not. So that same drop for any reason, and we tried to set the threshold high enough that it shouldn't affect someone that has a hiccup every so often. But if you're dropping every round or every other round, that's not great for competitive play.
All right, let's start taking questions. We're right about 7:40, so let's go from the top. Um, when will standings go up? So I'm gonna combine that with the question about pre-seeding. So the teams that played in the 5 weeks of the summer show, 6 weeks of the summer showdown, their results will be used for pre-seeding them to some degree in week one. Something important to note here is that that is going to have maximal effect if you play week one. If you join later on in the season, it's going to be a multiplier on your starting SRS value, but it's not going to be a 1-to-1. You're not going to get the full effect of the preceding, and that's so that we're fair, that someone isn't able to join midway through the season and kind of get the benefits of being number 2 or number 3 in the summer showdown. You won't get the full benefit, so you kind of get a booster for playing from week one. Additionally, there's 21 weeks in the season. By playing all 21, or starting from week one, you have a much higher competitive chance of going up. There's an opportunity cost. If you join later, you also are at a disadvantage because you missed a couple matches, a couple opportunities to win. So the standings will go up on Monday, and it'll be based off of teams that played in the Summer Showdown. If you didn't play, you will be placed at a set percentage, so you'll be at like the 25th percentile of all teams, and you'll have to work your way up from there. So even if you join later on, you'll be at the 25th percentile at that point, and you'll have to work your way up to gain MMR. Anything else? Anybody wants to add on that?
I think you covered it.
Yep.
Okay. Let's jump to match postponements and joining later. Did we cover this already? I don't remember.
I think we did in
Yes, we
separate
did.
parts.
Yeah, so postponement wise, you're allowed one. per season is our current thinking. This is just the draft format at the moment. And then in terms of being inactive, so this is Killinger's question at the top, all sort of combined. If you're inactive, there will be SRS loss as well. Yeah, and then Etch's thing about joining mid-season that answered the rest of that question.
Yeah, and what we're looking at, effectively, you'll have one free postponement without any decay, most likely, and then after that, you'll be receiving a loss for being inactive, or something along those lines, or close to a loss.
I think postponements and inactive things are separate, but yeah,
Right. Sorry, I meant,
postponement is postponing a
yeah,
match. For, yeah.
correct. Right. Yeah. Okay. For team captains only allowed to schedule matches and post scores. This will likely be a team captain and co-captain thing, but that's going to be a TBD. I think we'll have to ask Mr. Tripp likely, but I believe we have the ability for both team captains and co-captains to do this, and you'll be able to do it through Discord likely as well as on the website.
If that's
All right.
something you would like changed, I mean, I don't see any reason it has to be just captains or co-captains. There's just the current setup. But I mean, anyone could schedule a match. I don't see why it has to be one of those two. So if you feel strongly about that, if you're a scheduling guy but you're not a captain or a co-captain, make a ticket.
Okay. Next question: ban hotspots.
Is that a question? Is that a statement?
That's a question with a question
There's
mark.
a question mark at the end. Okay.
I think that sort of ties into what we're talking about with the whole network health side of things. And if hotspots do display network health issues through drops or through multiple reports of people bouncing around and all that sort of stuff, then that would probably impose a self ban in some ways. People will be unable to play because they won't meet the health requirements, network health requirements.
Okay, next up, how will controller movements be handled in IVRL? Corner glitching, walking onto objects, etc. Someone want to take this?
Yeah, so something we're working on, and VR Marksman is headlining, taking point on this, is giving better guidance on banned locations. So instead of giving general guidance on, you know, on corner glitching and stuff like that, we want to give specific guidance on locations, because there is too much of a grey area there. There will be some sort of things which will get covered by a general guidance, like walking along an invisible ledge on the side of a building, things like that. Those can be generally regarded as banned initially. But the specific guidance on locations is something we want to give. That's for two reasons. One, there's no gray area, and two, it also allows us to feed that back to DPI and be like, hey, um, these are the specific locations we have. Are they intended to be locations which people can access or not? Because that's come up in the past where we've had an incident on a location and DPI has been like, oh, we haven't realized that people can get there. We will add a collider there so that people can't get there. If we can give that feedback earlier on, that'll help. We have a recon type unit, which is basically just a group of people who are interested in trying to find these spots and report them back in a controlled manner, who will be working through the maps to give that good guidance. Yeah, that covers that.
All right, next. Will matchups be posted in time to allow EU teams to play on Monday evenings? I'll take it.
I
All right, go
yeah.
Trip.
I mean, I hope so. We're trying to make things as streamlined as possible. It really boils down to all the teams getting their scores in as soon as possible after the match, which you should be doing. If you are playing a match and you finish your match, you should put the scores in, like right then. You're on your computer. You should do it then. Do it.
And
Yeah, we also
one
do
additional
have.
thing to that is the button won't be just controlled by one person. more than one person will have access to the button to push for matchups. So once things are all submitted, it can be potentially put out in a more expedited manner.
Believe the target is 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm gonna see if we can push that even earlier. Maybe. Um, I do know that sometimes there's teams that play on Monday morning, if they're in sort of in Oceania. So that we got to make sure that that still can happen. But we'll see how early we can push it. There might be hiccups this first week one, given that the system and stuff is going live for the first time. But the hope is that there is enough time for teams to play on Monday evenings if they're in EU. Um, and if you do submit your scores late and such, there will be penalties for things like that. So um, do check the rules on that stuff. We've been a little lax on some of those things with the summer showdown. It's been for fun and so forth, but we do have rules to make sure things like that are kept in order. All right. Next, Norse asks, will there be different rules for custom maps? I haven't read up myself yet. Someone want to talk about customs?
I mean, rule wise, we're having like a pool that's different. I mean, I don't. We're not having rules specific to custom maps though. We have
Pool,
3 sets of
pool,
customs throughout the season.
the pool is eight DPI maps. So pool for set one is 8 DPI maps plus Arctic and Sand, I believe. And then the pool for set two, so the second lot of of 7 weeks, is the same 8 DPI maps, and then USS Quest and Shipyard instead of Arctic and Sand. And then the pool for set three, same 8 DPI maps, and then 2 customs or potentially also turbine in there to be determined.
We will, as we were doing during the summer showdown, be going through those custom maps as well and identifying spots in the same way we do for other maps, spots that are banned.
Yeah,
So
they'll be
maybe
treated as a DPI map essentially from that aspect, same as the other one. Yeah, yeah. Actually,
And we're
potentially has more ability to get quick reaction on blocking out those spots rather than having to list them specifically as well, which is good.
Yeah, and we're gonna work with the map creators to freeze the map so that there aren't there's no changes being made mid season, but also in case of incidents like we find bad issues, we want to work with them as well. So like James said, hopefully we can get change when needed and not see unnecessary change. Um, okay, we're running low on time, so let's go through some questions quickly. Will there be changes to rules about showing up on time? Because my team has had trouble with other teams being late about 3 to 5 times in the summer showdown.
I think
I
there'll be
don't.
more enforcement on the rule. We did change our rules compared to VRML at least, in that um, your match time is your start time. So there's a couple of rules which come into play on that. The lobby should be up 5 minutes before your match start time. That's both for the other team to know that you will be starting on time, and also for casters. It helps with that. And then the match needs to start no later than 5 minutes after start time. That's compared to 20 minutes for VRML, for example. Those were on purpose to make matches flow better and not result in people waiting around in a lobby 20 minutes after the start time, then play one round and then have a 15-minute timeout. Um, you know that can get quite tedious. So that will help with forcing teams to be on time, and those rules will be enforced. And then also to help the match flow, timeout lengths are 2 timeouts of 8 minutes, um, and it's only 2 maps as well. So 2 maps, potential for 18 rounds rather than 21 rounds. 2 maps of up to 9 rounds, and less time between maps because there's only one break between maps to switch rather than two. Yes, there is a rehost, but it should still be less time. All of those should hopefully make matches flow better and also give more certainty around the amount of time you will be needing to play the game, so you can make your plans around other external commitments and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and related to the times to start maps. You know, if you come to us with a ticket saying that your match was delayed, too long, the first thing we're going to ask for is a POV video, showing that you got there on time and that the other team didn't. So just make sure you start your recordings. This is, of course, all written in the recording mandate, but just make sure you start your recordings before you start the lobby.
Alrighty, next question. How will you handle play space manipulation, height manipulation, and clipping?
I think Ricky wants that one.
Well, sorry, I was just reading the questions in the thread. What was? Let me go back.
I'll read it
1
again.
second.
How will you handle play space manipulation, height manipulation, and clipping?
Oh, um, yeah. This is another sort of intractable issue. We think that the recording mandate is really gonna help a lot here, because these are issues that you can see, which is a little bit easier than the network issues. We recognize that you don't always realize when you're clipping into something, or you might be playing on quests where the object doesn't even appear. Um, so we're going to be a little bit lenient about that, but we're also going to expect that you've read through the list of banned locations or locations where you could be clipping into something and doing so for a competitive advantage. So, we're putting a lot of burden on players to recognize these things and report them to us so that we can identify them. And we're putting a lot of burden on players to know what those spots are, even if they're spots or objects that they can't necessarily see in game. So the solution is that we want players to take. I mean, the solution for now, we can think of more creative ways to police this difficult problem. The solution for now is that we're really expecting players to take the recording mandate seriously, to know where those spots are that have already been identified, and to take every effort to kind of avoid those spots. For height manipulation, we I don't think we've actually come up with a good solution for this. You guys correct me if I'm forgetting some conversation that we had in the past.
There are some things we can look for. There are some key factors. The key
Yeah,
the
again, I
player
think this
model
is
looks a bit different, basically.
when you sometimes show up on your toes, that's one thing that can happen, that the POV recordings are gonna help quite a bit with. But one other thing that we've thought about doing is sort of similar to the network issues. You know, we've all played with each other so much that we generally know what our heights are. If you're changing it for competitive matches, or if you're just changing it at all, you're not going to hit the same height every single time. And so there have been instances, even this past summer showdown, where we kind of suspected that certain people who appeared taller in comp lobbies and shorter in matches were doing something funky behind the scenes. And so, in the same way that we're going to be tracking that kind of information for our network connectivity, we might start doing the same for height. It isn't unprecedented that we've had IRL recording for when people have submitted for certain, disability dispensations. And if it becomes, if you reveal yourself to be a repeat offender, or someone who is just a different height every day of the week, then we're going to implement some kind of monitoring. This is the IVRL, this is the big leagues, this is the competitive league, the one where we take very seriously the fairness of the game. And so we're a bit more willing than other leagues to implement these types of monitoring measures to make sure that everybody's playing fair. I don't know if I think that was responsive to the question. Let me know if I missed any part of it.
A further question to that is who will be watching these recordings? I want to clarify on that. That with these recordings, there is, unless you are under one of the further restrictions, such as having a more recent back ban, there's not a requirement to actually submit the recordings. You have to keep the recordings for a set amount of time. I believe it's
It's
2
2 weeks.
weeks.
Yeah.
You have to keep them yourself, and if an issue comes up, then there may be a request on those recordings, and we'll make sure that the people viewing those recordings, there's not a conflict of interest in there, on that review. and
Yeah.
you can have a say on that as well in terms of the
And
actual exact people. Yeah.
and only the minimal amount of only the minimal required sort of
Exactly.
information will be requested. So if it's a round, we'll ask for a round. If it's a map, we'll ask for a map. So usually it's going to be a round. Um, so you will be able to cut out your tent talk and all of that stuff and just give us the round from start to end.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
yeah,
we might even ask for you to do a bit more work because there's obviously a bit of balancing here, right? So the reason that other leagues don't do recording mandates is it's just kind of a huge burden to go through hours and hours of footage and figure out what went wrong. So in order to balance being extremely thorough and looking at the evidence with getting quick answers, quick predictable answers back to the players, we're going to be asking players to not only submit the video footage of the whole round, but also to edit and clip down to the specific parts that they believe were an infraction or where some kind of issue occurred. So that
This is if someone is making a complaint.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, if someone is
And
making a complaint or if someone is trying to show us that, something that even isn't, they don't want disciplinary action to follow. We're going to ask them to really edit it down so that the referees, when they get that ticket, can watch the first 30-second clip and see, okay, yeah, there's a reasonable chance that something went wrong here, and if necessary, watch the entire clip. But even this past season, where we've received POV recordings, sometimes you can tell pretty quickly that no issue occurred, and it may just be maybe an issue of some hurt feelings where you can pretty quickly dispense with the ticket. So we're going to ask that when you submit these videos, you edit it down to the crucial necessary parts.
and we there's something to sort of expand on that. We will require, like, if you are making an accusation against someone, you can't just come forward with that. Oh, this person did that. You will have to come forward with your supporting evidence of it, as in the specific clips and stuff. Um, and then we may request from the person you're making the accusation against. You may request their point of view for those same incidents. Um, it's not just going to be a we were going to request from people for no reason without having some burden of evidence on the person making the accusation as well.
I have a question for my own actual knowledge. So, is it? Are we going to require people to make these edits, or is it just a request, or can they send a full video with timestamps for the appropriate plays in
I,
question?
Yeah, I think
Personally,
timestamps are fine too. I
timestamps will be
mean,
fine. Yeah.
yeah, if you don't have like an editing software on your computer, then just give us a timestamp.
Yeah, it's more
I
for
just know
people that don't
personally
want
a
to share.
Yeah.
couple of players that are on my team are not going to know how to do that, and that's where the question came from. Thanks for
Yeah.
answering.
If you don't want, as Trip says, like, if you don't want to share your whole thing, you can just boil it down to the incident in question.
I'd also add that a player who's making a complaint will not receive that video. There's kind of a misconception that people
Yeah.
can request, the other POV. That's not the case here. Moderators can review an incident with POV from both sides, or maybe it's, maybe we need more POVs. Maybe it's not just two parties. Maybe it's, others from the team as well for the investigation. Um, so there's definitely like players don't get access to that. I think that's an important point because there's some misconception around that. Okay. Let's jump to a couple more questions. Let's see. Will there be a ban on the two new weapons that come out mid-season? This is an interesting one. I haven't thought about
Mm.
this.
It would depend on the weapon, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If it's some form of new equipment, then which is like meta changing or game changing, I imagine. But one of them is what, an MCX or MPX or
Yeah.
MCX. I imagine that's just another gun.
Yeah, it's just another automatic rifle.
Mm. I don't see a reason why it would change the gameplay.
It'll definitely get vetted. I mean, it's not like we're just
Oh
gonna be
yeah,
like, yeah, let throw it in there. It will get vetted. It may be out for a week while we do that, but
if it has some form of like player seeking bullet or
auto
something,
aim.
yeah, like
Um, okay. Let's talk about some reservist rules. I don't know if we hit on
mm,
them, but what are some of the reservist rules? limits and so forth?
We talked about this morning in terms of setting limits and stuff, because
Yeah.
we didn't have it fully defined, uh, and we talked around limits of not being able to use a reservist more than 3 times per season. But we also talked about around teams as a whole not being able to use reservists as a whole more than a certain amount of times. So, and we mentioned 9 times in total. So it's still a lot of uses. But if you are consistently having to use a reservist, then you need to get someone else on your roster. Um, you can't rely on the reservist pool the whole time.
Yeah, and each reservist will. We decided. I think we decided that each reservist will be able to play an unlimited number of times as long as they're not repeatedly playing for the same team.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and there's no inactivity punishments either if you are a reservist. You can hop in and go out whenever you want. You don't need to play every week. There's no requirements or anything like that. Okay. And then in terms of tiers, this is something that's a work in progress. I don't think we have an answer for reservist tiers, but it is something that is being looked at right now heavily. Um, so that we can have fair reservists aren't carrying teams. And to some extent, we've already addressed that because you can only have one reservist on your team. You can't have two reservists. You can play 4v5 with one, but you can't play with two. So it reduces some of that factor, but it is still important to have reservist tier so that teams are playing with appropriate skill levels. Okay. Let's take a look at any last questions.
Heck, like we briefly addressed the question on postponements and bye weeks. Long and short of it is we'll be able to have one postponement per season, but we're still kind of working out some of those other rules.
Someone did bring up a good point with an extra postponement because season 1 is extra long.
Yeah.
So that might be something we'll discuss. Could potentially be a thing. Makes sense on the face of it.
Yeah.
There is a question there about player drops and crashes. How long can you wait until you find a new player? And I think that just falls under the 8-minute timeout rule. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, I
8 minute
would agree with that. Yeah.
timeouts. Yep.
Can timeouts be used back to back? There's nothing in the rules that says they cannot.
There should be.
There is.
You have to play one round in between.
Do you? Okay. I didn't
Yes.
think that was totally transparent in the ruling, but maybe I just need to go back and look. Thank you.
I think we might have changed in the version that's not pushed to the website yet.
Yeah, so a rules update is coming out. The rules that are live were for the Summer Showdown. We'll be trying to get those up this weekend. They've gone through a review process and all of that, so many of these small changes will be going up as per that. We'll make an announcement when that goes live. So if something we're saying here doesn't match up with the rules, defer to what we said here, and look forward to a rules update coming out soon.
Yeah, that's on me. Sorry, guys. I'm still working on that.
Rules are hard. For
Hurry up.
people who are like, this is such a big rule set. It's harder to write a rule set than it is to read. Trust me.
It's much smaller than it was when we started.
Yeah. Okay, let's get through one or two more and wrap it up. There's one. Will the prize pool increase, and how does this stand in competition? So, sickness. You want to answer this one?
Yeah, I was trying to find it so I could read it myself. There it is. Okay. Well, the price will increase, and what makes this stand in competition with the VRML? Um, so I can't guarantee you that the prize pool will increase, although that is definitely something that we want and that we are actively working towards. But we've kind of held a mantra from the beginning that we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. So what we've told you that we've got is what basically what we've got in hand now. And we've got 21 weeks to try to get that prize pool a little bit larger. So is that something we want to do? Yes. Is it something I can guarantee you now? It's not. But yeah, we definitely like to make that happen for you. In terms of the second half of that question, what makes us stand in competition with VRML? We over here at IVRL, we don't really look at it that way. I mean, competition, right? VRML has been the only league for Onward. And I think we feel pretty confident that the player is going to benefit more from having two leagues. And I think that's really what this is all about. Is that when you have competition, right, it forces all competitors to be better. And that doesn't just stand for players, it stands for leagues and businesses. And I mean, that's kind of how capitalism works, right? So, you know, we've come up with some changes, what we think are some unique changes that we brought to the community so that we could, you know, receive feedback and see what people liked. And a lot of the things that we did and changed, people liked, you know. And so we just want to offer you another opportunity to play competitively, you know, to give you a chance at some prizes that aren't just coming from you know the same name that you've been dealing with. And we think that the experience is just going to get better for it, which is ultimately what we're all looking for. We just want to have the best possible experience for the players and the teams because VR esports is the future. So why not start making each other better now, which I think is kind of what we're doing. So
Yep. Yeah, we all had a vision, for what we wanted in a league, and that is why we're doing this. So it's not really a reaction to anything. We just want to see where we can take this. We know the potential, and I think you all do too. So
I have to say
Okay.
it's awesome to see changes that we're bringing to the competitive Onward scene getting adopted elsewhere and becoming standards. I think that's a really cool thing to see because we're experimenting. Maybe not everything's gonna work, but um, it's always good to bring that change and see how it's taken. Okay, what's the stance? Let's do two more. What's the stance on shields after the poll? I would say no answer at the moment. We've heard the feedback, and we'll probably have an announcement soonish about that. But yes, it was a poll, not a vote, and one of the reasons was to kind of gauge the community intent and not make it a deciding factor. So TBD on that. Um, any other questions that you guys see that we missed?
I just want to mention to make sure that if you guys didn't get your question answered, to please go ahead and make a ticket. Again, those tickets are there for everything. They're for suggestions, they're for questions. It's totally fine to open up a ticket. Don't be afraid. It's not really that hard, although for sickness it is.
We'll try
Okay.
to we'll try to go through these and collate them and get a transcript like we did of the first couple of town halls where we had the questions and answers all written out so you could view them as well. This has been recorded, so we have a recording that'll go up on the YouTube. So we'll have as many ways as possible for you to get the information out of this town hall.
Okay, any last questions, folks? Drop it in.
Trip,
See if
did
we
you want to address Lampy? I think that might have been the second time he's asked about community casters and casting and
Yeah, I keep seeing him put that in there. As of right now, community caster rules are the same as they were in the summer showdown. There is a strong potential that the rules will change as the season comes on, particularly because of sponsorships and other things that we have to take into account. I definitely want to give the community casters the ability to cast. I think that the community appreciates having the option, but I also don't feel like we need to keep community casters out there. If the community likes a caster, we can get him set up. It's very simple. I mean, we got Lambowski casting, guys. It's teaching that guy how to use buttons. Like, we can get anybody to cast, okay?
Sorry, I thought it was on mute.
I definitely think
Elaborate on
that.
that is I think we currently have about 20 casters signed up, so we do have a good casting pool. I think there was a concern about that by Norse, in terms of did we actually have casters?
Yeah,
I think I just
we
had a quick
do.
count before, and we have about 20 signed up at the moment.
And I would, I would like to keep it growing. I would like to have more casts than not. We definitely are talking. Me and Etch have been talking about it, and we're going to have some standards and shooting for minimum amount of casts a week and things like that. But that will grow as we grow, obviously. I will give a shout out to the community. Both of our channels made affiliate during the Summer Showdown. So shout out to everyone that came and watched.
That's
And
awesome.
that'll let us get those fun polls and what are the other things called? I forget how Twitch works sometimes. The
Emotes and
yeah.
All that other fun gambling stuff that we really can't do.
We can get all the gambling in there.
Yeah.
predictions. Yeah.
Yeah, predictions. That's what it is. So we'll be able to get those on there soon. At the moment, we have 2 EU casters, I think, plus some like James and Hutch and them that are in weird time zones that don't exist. But yeah, I mean, if we have more, recommend more. I definitely want more.
Skyjacker did a few EU casts in the past as well.
Yeah, there's a possibility that a couple of our NA people are going to be available. Like I myself might be doing more EU casts depending on my schedule. So it really depends. But I think we're going to have a growing team. I like the guys we're working with. Some of our new guys that we've picked up during the summer showdown are awesome, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
What is this caster restrictions, Ree?
They're going to be caster restrictions, like I heard there were in the VR mail. Yeah, you'd have to expand on that. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, maybe make a ticket and we can talk about that. But right now, I mean, like Trip said, we do plan on talking, more about the casting side of things. But that will come, a little bit later. But make a ticket and we'll see if we can get to you for it. Okay.
OCE League, Heclac was talking about. As far as I'm aware, we want them in our league, right? We are trying to push that. Yeah.
Yeah, we want to trial out a division with OCE this year. It's probably gonna be like an opt-in, partial opt-in kind of thing because it won't be a main division. But don't quote me on that. We're still discussing.
We could get Heclac involved in those discussions if we want.
Yeah. Any other OCE people listening or here? Let us know. We'll add you. We wanna talk to you. See how we can make that happen.
Nomad, make a ticket for that, and we can keep discussing it.
There already is one.
There is one.
Sorry, different question.
Different.
What question?
The community caster thing.
Okay. Yep. Sorry, we're not all reading along with you.
Here we are not. Yeah.
I have one question for us. What does SRS stand for?
Season rating system, I think. I think that's what we.
Okay, thank you.
Are you serious?
No, we're not allowed to say what that stands for.
Like it's all. It's
seriously that high?
It's the only letters we could use because Mama shoots down all of our acronyms.
Oh, don't you dare!
I mean, we had some great ones.
Yeah, no, you did not.
We do have one question. We do have one question about the beer league. I don't know if you want to handle that, James.
Beer league.
Beer league.
It's something we are passionate about, but obviously our focus has been. I say we. I was looking at Thunder mainly in the chat. But the focus has been season 1. But once season 1 is established, it becomes much easier to work on a parallel league.
Yeah, don't worry, it's in the back of our minds for sure.
Yeah, expect things occurring on that during this first period of season 1. We definitely it's something we're passionate about, and we want it to be something parallel so that you can be on you can be on different teams with both. So
it's gonna be for fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Pending for sure. We don't have firm dates or anything, but that's where if you want to compete with James and I, with Mayhem and Global Chem, that's where we'll be. So.
And it's Beer League is we're calling it Beer League. It was a PCVR only league. That's essentially what it was. It allows some player potential PCVR customs and things like that. It's something which some of the PCVR teams have been wanting to do on the side.
The website, you still have that name. The website is currently being worked on. Etch is probably more the guide for that, but yes, it's going to be fantastic. Just give us a little bit more time.
Also, it'll be constantly getting updated. This is not like set it and forget it for the season kind of thing. We have thoughts. We make things happen. We're always moving forward.
Yeah, and the website.
Wait, what's the problem with the XR web streets? This is bullshit.
Excel sheets are terrible, you old person.
Oh, hey, watch who
Um,
you're calling old. We've
think,
been
and one
through
thing
this.
which would be good to have,
He's
I
an
think, and
ageist.
something we've talked about
Yeah.
with the website people, is actually having tournaments supported by the website. It's something where they've been thrown together in the past and had to be run in parallel because I cannot do websitey stuff myself. But yes, going forward, it would be great to have them as part of the website and much prettier and more user friendly than an Excel spreadsheet. As good as an Excel spreadsheet is.
I don't know about that, but okay.
Alrighty, let's see. Anything else?
Fair enough,
Good
fair enough.
idea. Mini tournament through the break. Man, people can't get enough Onward, can they?
The
Oh,
break is
guess.
for
Oh my
break.
God. Okay, so
Have you seen the have we released the overall timeline? Our whole calendar? We haven't, have we?
no,
So we've got
we need
allowance
to make a
for
calendar. Yeah.
over. So we've got allowance in the general season. How we're going to have it run. We've got a good amount of time for off-season tournament over the US summer break. And then I don't know if we have a good amount of time at the other end, but there might be a time for like a smaller. We've talked about having a smaller tournament, like maybe an all-star type thing or something like that, a smaller type one. Or Mama might run a fun week again, or something like that.
Shut up.
It'd be so
Oh
much
my
fun.
God. No, actually, what I was going to say is I've got a few ideas as far as maybe not really a fun week, but that was a really jerk thing to say, James. um but maybe like league versus SDs or league versus IVRL board or whatever the case may be. But what I'd like to see is you guys come up with ideas. So make a ticket and tell us what you would like to see during the break. It can be anything, onward related, clean. Okay. I figured I'd
Make a
better say
ticket, send
that.
it to me. I'll take care of the other ones.
No, 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 no. But yeah, I'd like to see what you guys would like to see during the break. So, make a ticket and submit it.
Co-op time trials.
That's honestly, I think that'd be fun.
We've definitely got
Getting
some
some
ideas.
casts of co-op was something we actually have talked about. It'd be kind of cool to do as like a parallel type thing, but that's completely separate from running a season 1 of IVRL. But yeah.
Do a Marsoc and Volk
I've played some
debutante
cool, like
ball.
really, really coordinated co-op.
Nev,
The other
boys
day.
versus
It'd be fun.
girls. Nev, we
Nope.
would be slaughtered. There
I
aren't
don't.
that many of
I
us.
don't want to play with. I don't want to play against Edna ever. Ever.
Edna will
Ever.
destroy
Edna's
a lot of
sneaky.
people.
So
Oh, I love Edna. God, I miss her.
Hard
You can
carry.
hide behind a blade of
that's because
grass.
you've never been shot by her. So.
Ring Monster said, "What is going to determine who gets casted?" Right now, that's just caster availability for the most part. We have chatted about getting that caster availability earlier, so that teams can know when casters are available. It's a lot easier when your overall match time is closer to an hour than 2. So we're gonna look into getting that information from casters earlier and be able to post that on the matchmaking site at some point, so that you can say the likelihood that you'll have a caster available is higher if you're in these times because that's when they said they were available, et cetera, et cetera. And we've got some other things that we've been talking about. I mean, that should have been just brainstorming creative things that we want to do. So there will be new things coming out. Just stay tuned. We'll definitely get announcements up for most of them, and follow the Twitch channels
Follow the yellow.
and all the socials.
You can follow James on Twitter.
I have Twitter.
I don't know, do you?
He has one now.
That's right.
Well, he's gonna have to.
Got some followers now. Just go make
Cool,
it
cool.
right now.
All right, so let's wrap it up. Last things. Just as a reminder, sign up for season 1. To do so, you need to have an active team on the website with 5 people minimum. Then you got to go into our bot command channel and send the "I join season 1" command, and your team is registered. And if you register for season 1 starting Monday, first week, and you play through the first set, you're eligible for a sweepstakes, where your team will win a personalized swag bag of stuff with your team's logo on it. It will include snacks, so it's going to be exciting. $250-ish value for that. So Pretty unique gift we've got. So again, you got to sign up for season 1. You got to start week 1. You got to play through set 1. Um, and additionally, if that's not enough to get you to sign up, keep in mind signing up early gets you a higher chance of going up the ranking because of how it works. Signing up later means you're at a disadvantage and you're gonna have to work harder to climb up SRS. Um, and last but not least, we do have a banner contest going on. We've had some awesome submissions, so get your banner in. That is for a chance to win a Boke stock from James Boke himself. Maybe with the signature. I don't know if you want that,
Yeah, I
but
can customize. We'll get some customization stuff on it.
oh right, it's personalized as well, so you can have your name, your color, etc. on it. So that is going on. Get those submissions in. Do we have a deadline for that?
We do.
I
Oh.
believe.
Murphy knows it, and she'll post it in chat in 3,
Right now.
2,
I'm
1. Oh, come on, Murphy.
Slacker. I told
There it
you
is.
guys
She's
she's a
typing.
slacker.
Oh, she's not even
Almost-
listening to
she's not
us.
even replying
Not
to
even
us.
listening to us. Okay.
It ends on October 31st, and there will be a vote on the first week of November by everyone here, everyone in the community, so you can see all of the banners and vote on them. So October 31st, you've got a week-ish, a bit more than a week, to get a banner in. If you want logos or something, just ask us. We'll give you logos.
Now she's typing. Oh.
Great. Any last thoughts, guys?
I wanted to echo Mama's point again about if anyone has questions or concerns, please make a ticket. It doesn't bother us. We like to answer questions. We want people knowing what they need to know. So if you have a question, ask it of us in a ticket, and we'll get to you for sure.
And just thank you to everybody. Thank you to all the players, the league guys, even non-players. We have some non-players in here that participate in the Discord. So thank you to everybody. You guys are what helps make us.
Yeah, and just because 21 weeks of a season starting soon, that gives us a lot of time to work. You guys have, seen what we were able to do along with your help in a pretty short period of time. So I'm really excited to see how this goes for the next 21 weeks. And we're just going to keep improving the website, and everything's just going to keep getting better. We'll just keep taking the feedback and turning it into tangible improvements.
And if people do want to help us out, if you have ideas, you have whatever you have, talk to us. And we will have some sort of donations thing opening up in the future. We're trying to make sure everything is set up properly for the sustainability of this league going forward. This is not a one and done thing. We're here. We're serious about this. We're committed. And we want to make this thing happen for seasons to come. So with that, I think we can wrap it up. So long, everyone. And we will see you in season 1.
Awesome. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Cheers. Thanks for showing up.
Hey, guys.
Hi, guys.